Good morning, student. Let us have a revision on the fourth paragraph, and then we should go further to the fifth one. However, I did not say anything, but started the packing. It seemed a longer job than I had thought it was going to be. But I got the bag finished at last, and I sat on it and strapped it. Now, Harris asked, "Aren't you going to put the boot in?" And I looked round and found I had forgotten boots. Them. That is just like Harris. Only Harris could do this kind of job. Means he could have told him earlier so that he could pack the boot in the bag. But he did not say like anything. He did not say thing like anything. I looked round and found I had forgotten them. That is just like Harris. He couldn't have said a word until I had got the bag shut and trapped. Of course, and George laughed, one of those irritating, senseless laughs of this. They do make me so wild. In this way, the chapter about the boot comes to an end. Let me go ahead to the fifth paragraph. Let me read it first and see if the new word is there, and we will bring it at the end of the passage. We will bring out it when the paragraph will be over. I opened the bag and packed the boot in. As the boot had been forgotten, Jimmy opened the bag and put the boot in the bag. And then, just I was going to close it, a horrible idea occurred to me. Had I packed my toothbrush? I didn't know how it is, but I never do know whether I have packed my toothbrush or not. Now, Jimmy put the boot into the bag again. While he was putting, or when he had closed the bag, strapped the bag, after putting boot inside, he remembered whether he had kept his toothbrush in the bag or not. It was very horrible remembrance. It was very horrible thing. And about toothbrush, this is the episode about toothbrush. Don't forget. This passage totally about toothbrush. So he had forgotten to put the brush in his bag. My brush here. I opened the bag and packed the boot in, and then just as I was going to close it, a horrible idea occurred to me. Had I packed my toothbrush? I didn't know how it is, but I never do know whether I have packed my. He always forget. He would always forget to put, whenever he used to go on tour, he always forget to put his toothbrush in bag. It happened to him. My toothbrush is a thing that haunts me when I am traveling and make my life misery. I dream that I haven't packed it and wake up in the cold perspiration and get out of the bed and hunt for it, and in the morning I pack it before I have used it and have to unpack again to get it, and it is always the last thing I turn out of the bag, and then I repack and forget it and have to rush upstairs for it at the last moment and carry it to the railway station wrapped up in my pocket handkerchief. Of course, I had to turn every mortal thing out now, and of course, I could not find it. I rummaged the thing up into much the same state that they must have been before of the world was created, and then chaos reasoned. Of course, I found George and Harish 18 time over, but I could not find my own. I put the thing back one by one and held the thing everything up and shook it. Then I found my brush inside boot. I repacked once again. So this is episode of toothbrush. Very fantastic story. And now let me read it again so that I will write the question on the blackboard depending on this fifth paragraph. Because describe the episode of toothbrush. Now question may be asked. My toothbrush is thing that haunt me when I am traveling and make my life misery. Means his toothbrush makes his life very sad, and he always dream, he always think that he hadn't packed the toothbrush and woke up in a cold perspiration and got out of bed and hunt for it. And then in the morning he pack it before brushing it, before using it, and he had to unpack again to get it. And it is always the least thing he turned out of the bag, and then he repacked and forgot it and had to brush upstairs and had to rush upstairs for it at the last moment and carry it to the railway station wrapped in my pocket handkerchief. Of course, I had to turn every now in order to find out his brush in the bag where he had kept it. He took out each and everything out of the bag, and then he turned it in this way to see the brush. And while searching, while looking for the brush, he touched Harry's brush, he touched Josh's brush at least 20 times, but he could not find his own brush. Finally, when he had taken out all the articles and he had seen the brush in the thing, lastly he found his brush in his boot he kept in the bag. So this is the episode about his toothbrush. Hope that you will understand this episode. When I have finished, George asked me if the soap was in. I said I didn't care a hang whether the soap was in or whether it wasn't. I slammed the bag and shut and stapled it. Now George asked whether Jimmy had kept the soap in the bag or not. Jimmy reacted that he did not care. He would not mind it, and he packed the bag and shut the bag. And I found that I had packed my spectacle in it. Now, when he packed the bag, then he remembered that he kept his spec in the bag, and without spec, man cannot live. So and that's why he reopened the bag. I got shut up finally at 10:5 p.m. and then there remained the hamper to do. Harry said that we should be wanting to start in less than 12 hours time, and thought that he and George had better do the rest. And I agreed and sat down, and they had a go. Means now packing done by writer. Packing done by Jimmy. is over. And now packing which will be done by Harris and George start. Now they ask Harris to take rest, and the work of packing was handed over to George and Harris. And see how did George and Harris pack the thing. They began in light-hearted. They began in a light-hearted spirit. Very joyfully, they started work of packing, evidently intending to show me how to do. They wanted to show how the packing could be done, and I made no comment. I only waited, with the exception of John. Harris is the worst packer in this world. Harris himself was very bogus, dapper. He was the worst packer in this world. And I look at the pile of plate and cups and kettles and bottles and jars and pies and stoves and cakes and tomatoes. I felt that the thing would soon become exciting. It did. They started with breaking a cup. Now they started, as soon as they started packing, they had broken a cup. Why? That was the first thing they did. They could do only destructive thing. They did and they did that just to show you that what they could do and to get you interested. In this way, they were of no use. Harris and George could not pack the thing properly as the writer had done. The very first thing they started to pack it, they had broken. Then Harris packed the strawberry jam on the top of a tomato and smashes, and they had to pick out tomato with a teaspoon. And then it was George's turn. In this way, George plays his role in packing, and now see how did George do packing. And then it was George's turn, and he walked on the butter. He spoiled butter by walking on it. I did not say anything, but I came over and sat on the edge of the table. The writer said nothing. Writer reacted. Writer's reaction was zero. He said nothing. When the butter was spoiled, he went to the edge. He came over and sat on the edge of the table and started watching Harris and George packing. It irritated them. When he was looking at them, they got irritated. Anything I could said, I felt that it made them nervous and excited, and they stepped on things and put things behind them, and then couldn't find them when they wanted them, and they packed the pie at the bottom and put heavy thing on top and smashed the pies in. Now they were buffered, they were confused, and they were more confused when the writer started looking at them. They were disappointed, they were nervous, they were excited, and they walked on the thing. They put the thing behind them, and they couldn't find them when they wanted them, and they packed the pie at the bottom and put heavy things on the top, and damaged, destroyed, and smashed the pie in. They upset salt over everything. They spread salt on everything. Every item they had packed was salty. It became salty. And as far as the butter, I never saw two men do more with an 1 and 2 pence with the worth of butter in my whole life than they did. They spoiled the butter, and he hadn't seen anybody. He had not seen anybody. He had never seen two men do more with 1 and 2 pence worth of butter in the whole life than Harris and George had done. After George had got it off his slipper, they tried to put it in the kettle. It would not go in, and wouldn't come out. they did scrape out at last and put down on a chair. Now what happened? The butter was spoiled by George. George trod on butter, and now they wanted to take out the butter from George's boot. And finally, they took it out, and they wanted to put that butter in the kettle, but they could not do it. And finally, they took the butter on the paper, and the paper was kept on the chair. And Harry sat on it, and it stuck to him, and they went looking for it all over the room. Now the butter stuck to Harry's seat, and they started looking butter everywhere in all corners of the room, but they could not find, as the butter was sticking to the seat of George. I will take my oath, I put down on that chair, said George, staring at the empty seat. George told that he had put the butter down on that chair, and he take the God's oath. And Harris also agreed that he had seen him done it himself not a minute ago. And then they started round the room looking. Again looking for it, and then they met again in the center and started stare at one another. Most extraordinary thing I ever heard of it, said George. So mysterious, said Harris. Then George got round at the back of Harris and saw it. Why, here it is all the time, he exclaimed indignantly. And where, said indignantly, where, cried Harris, spinning round. Stand still, can't you? Roared George, flying after him. And they got it off and packed it in the teapot. Now the role of Montmorency in packing started. The role of writer is over. The role of Harris in packing is over. The role of George in packing is over. And now, at last but not the least, the role of Montmorency started. And they got it off and packed it in the teapot. Montmorency was in it all. Montmorency, writer's dog, was omnipresent. He was seen everywhere in all scenes. Of course, Montmorency's ambition in life is to get in the way and swans it. He always used to come in the way. That was his aim in life, to disturb other. To disturb other was the aim of Montmorency. If he can swim in everywhere where he particularly is not wanted, actually he should not go there, but he was found there where he should not go, and be perfect nuisance. Montmorency is the biggest source of trouble, and he make people mad and have things thrown at his head. Then he feels his day had not been wasted. If people did not punish him, he thought that his day was wasted. But if people punish him because of his mistake and nuisance, he thought that his day was very good day and it had not been wasted. To get anybody to stumble over him and cause him steadily for an hour is the highest aim and object. What is the highest aim and object of his life? To get somebody stumble over him and curse him steadily for an hour was the highest motto, was the highest goal, was the highest aim, was the highest subject of his life. When he has succeeded in accomplishing this, his conceit become quite unbearable. He came and sat down on things just when they were wanted to be packed, and he labored under the fixed belief that whenever Harris or George reached out their hand for anything, it was his cold damp nose that they wanted. He put his leg into the jam and he worried. He disturbed the teaspoon and he pretended that lemons were rat and got into the hamper and killed there of them before Harris could land him with the frying pan. Harris said, Harris blamed that. Harris said, I encouraged him. I didn't encourage Montmorency. A dog like that doesn't want any encouragement. It is the natural original sin that is born in him that makes him to do things like that. The packing was done at 12:50 and Harry sat on the big hamper and said he hoped nothing would be found broken. George said that if anything was broken, it was broken, which reflection seems to comfort him. He also said he was ready for bed. We were all ready for bed. Harish was to sleep with us that night and we went upstairs. We tossed for bed and Harris had to sleep with me, he said. Do you prefer the inside or outside, Jimmy? I replied, I said, I generally prefer to sleep inside a bed. Harris said, it was odd. George said, what time shall I wake you, fellow? Harris said, 7. I said, no, 6, because I wanted to write some letter. Harris and I had a bit of a row over it, but at last spilled the differences and said, 6:30. Wake us at 6:30, George, we said. George made no answer and we found on going over that he had been asleep for something. He had been asleep for some time, so we placed the bath where he could tumble into it on getting out in the morning and went to bed ourselves. In this way, your lesson about packing is over. I hope you might have understood it. And now, boys, see, 10th. While packing the hamper, George and Harris do number of foolish and funny things. Take the statement that are true. They started with breaking cup. Yes, true. They also broke plate. No. They smashed tomato. No. They trod on the butter. Yes. They stepped on banana. No, wrong. They put things behind them that couldn't find them. Yes. They stepped on things. No. They packed the picture at the bottom and put heavy things on it. No. They said they upset almost everything. Yeah. They were very good at packing. No, wrong. And now let us go little further. See here, the vocabulary. Selving means working hard. Ecos means sixth. Complete confusion and disorder. Remaze means search for something by moving thing around hurriedly or carelessly. Scrap out means removed. Stumble over means fall or step. Accomplish means achievement or achieve. Uncanny means strange. To have or to get, number 1, a quarrel and argument. And now, complete the story. During power cut, when traffic light go off, there is utter chaos as crossroad drivers add to the confusion by scrapping over their right of way and nearly come to blow. Sometime passerby seeing a few policemen selving at regulating traffic step in to help. This gives them a feeling of having accomplished something. And now, boys, positive here last. Table below has some proverb telling you what to do and what not to. Fill the blank here. Save money for rainy day. Make hay while the sun shines. Peep before you leap. Live and let live. These are positive proverbs. Now negative. Don't cry over spilled milk. Don't put the cart before the horse. Don't dig a mountain out of a molehill. Don't put all your eggs in your basket. In this way, our lesson is over. If you have any problem, please you can ask me. Okay, thank you a lot. It is enough for today. Tomorrow we shall start another chapter, another lesson. Thank you a lot.